Welcome back to Personal Pension Radio, and welcome back to the workshop. Yes, this is Personal Pension Radio from the Studio Workshop, the RV. Those of you who watch the podcast on YouTube, you'll know that I've recorded multiple episodes in my backyard RV studio. It is sold American, and headed off to Minnesota to the new owners who are going to trip around warm southern parts of the United States in their nearly new RV that has found its way to them through the miracles of the interweb. So back in the workshop here, yes, you heard it. I am Craig Strom, the income engineer. I am passionate about financial planning from a retirement income perspective for sure. I also, obviously, if you're looking at this on YouTube, you see where I'm sitting. I'm in my wood shop. I love woodworking. It is my therapy. We're coming into the cold season. Yes, there is a cold season here in Southern California, not quite like North Dakota or Maine cold, but it is cold enough that I love getting in the workshop and building stuff. Not sure exactly what I'm going to be building this season, but I do love it. Let's jump into this topic. You saw the title, this planned giving charitable reference in the title. I want to talk about this. I'm recording in November, which is that holiday season, right? The holiday high season, if you will. And this happened, and something happened recently, and it just made me think about it. So before I get into the topic, just remembering what Personal Pension Radio is all about. I love the conversation around retirement, but most specifically, retirement income planning. Retirement income planning is a part of retirement planning that is often overlooked because Wall Street is all about save, 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 invest, 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 and 401ks and investments and all those various things, real estate and annuities, they're all very important. However, they are not in and of themselves the answer to maximum retirement income. You've really got to have, let me get this out of my ear, you've really got to have a strategy, an actual strategy for maximizing retirement income. And it doesn't happen with a product. There are many different components that go into a retirement income strategy. One of the areas that's very important for a lot of folks is charitable giving. Charitable giving, whether you run a small charity, whether you support a local charity or you give to bigger, larger organizations, whatever it is, that is often a component of financial planning. How much do you want to give to church or to your favorite charitable organization? And it's important to have that conversation. And that's why today I want to talk about planned giving. Planned giving is actually an area of charitable giving that is most often overlooked in regards to small charities. That's where you're going to hear the story today. But Personal Pension Radio and my mission as the income engineer is really to have that broad, big conversation about retirement income planning and not lose sight of all the different pieces that go into it. So let's get into this question today about planned giving. Let me make sure that you get an idea of where it comes from. So the title, the big reason that charities stay small. The big reason that charities stay small. So recently, matter of fact, this week, I spoke with a dedicated auto shop professor in a high school. I'll call him a professor. I know there's teachers and professors are in universities, but I'm going to call him a professor because he's got so many years of experience. If they had a PhD for auto shop, this guy would probably have it. And I spoke with him in regards to maybe making some charitable contributions to the school. My car club is evaluating small nonprofit groups in our region so that we may be able to support, for example, an auto shop or two where they need help. Because if you really think about it, shop class, like my shop here in my wood shop and auto shop and metal shop, and those classes in high school now are sometimes hard to find depending on where you live in the country. You may not have an auto shop. You may not have any trades-based classes anymore in high school, and I think that's a travesty. Today, more than ever, we actually need people working in the trades, training and apprenticing in the trades, and our car club just seems to make sense that we'd want to support an auto shop program at a local school or two, right? Now, we want our donations to legitimately make a difference. What I mean by this, I don't want our $1,000 donation to be so inconsequential to a charity that is beyond our level as far as scope, that they really don't appreciate the giving, right? That we have some huge nonprofits here in Southern California, as well as obviously all around the country. But here in Southern California, it seems like the big nonprofits are just on every street corner, whether it's Rotary or Salvation Army or this university or that hospital or whatever it is, asking for donations. I appreciate supporting charities, but our car club is a small nonprofit also. And it would be really good if we received some reciprocal recognition for our giving so that we might get more attention as a car club and therefore grow so that we could give more to nonprofits. That would be the idea. We want to be able to keep giving. With that in mind, I asked this dedicated auto shop teacher, professor, if a gift of $2,000 or $3,000 would be impactful. Would that be small change to them, or would it really have a strong impact in the program? And this auto shop teacher, she said something that really surprised me. She said, yes, it would be a big deal. And I said, well, that sounds positive. And she said, well, we lost a major donor last year. I said, what do you mean a major donor? She said, well, we had a donor in our community. It's a high desert here in California. The high desert is really just what it sounds like out in that high desert, Victorville, Lancaster area. She said, we had a local donor, and this person was giving our program for the last 5 years $20,000 a year. $20,000 per year. What the heck happened? I said, what happened? Well, the person who was giving so generously, he died, and he left no plans in his estate to continue to support this auto shop program or any other charities for that matter. Apparently, he died with no will, no trust, and of course, the giving that had been happening, $100,000 over the last 5 years, gone in a moment. No more donations. That small nonprofit, in this case, a local auto shop program, which, if we're honest with ourselves, in the grand scheme of education programming, who do you think's on the block, right? If we can't keep band class and art class going, metal shop, wood shop, auto shop, it's a program that struggles for funding, and this school benefited from this huge donation every year that they could use to support automotive projects for the kids, and even had, cars that they work on and stuff. Gone in a matter of just one instance where a donor did not leave anything behind. Now, for the record, I believe strongly that these kids, these days, we need to return to learning a trade, as I said before. They've got to learn a trade. Some of the greatest income earning opportunities out there today are in the trades. Welders, mechanics, pilots, engineers, even in the construction trades, plumbing, electrical, all of those things in the trades are big money makers because they are in demand. As the existing old guard retires out of those various trades, we need these trades to be getting new apprentices coming up through them. So we need programs like this auto shop program. And that's why this made me so sad and a little mad and frustrated to hear that yet another small nonprofit made the biggest mistake that small nonprofits make. Biggest mistake was that they didn't ask if their donor had a will or a living trust or anything like that. Do they have any planned giving in place to continue the giving? Do they have anything, do they want to keep giving after they're gone? They didn't ask because small nonprofits often don't ask. That's just a fact. They don't. For the record, a planned giving gift is something that may be as simple as naming your favorite charity in your will or in your living trust. It can be also complicated financial strategies with charitable trusts and foundations and annuities and naming charities as the beneficiaries of your life insurance. Regardless of whether it's advanced or simple, I realized that I wanted to do more work in the planned giving arena. I want to have these conversations. So I jumped right in and I began asking charities. This question. Do you have a planned giving program? Do you have any kind of planned giving program? Mr. or Mrs. Director of Local Charity, do you have a planned giving program? And the answer, almost every time, until I got to the really big charities, okay? The answer every time surprised me. I spoke to large, small, local nonprofits. I spoke to folks that were running nonprofits that were 20 years old to over 100 years old. And they had no planned giving program in place. Unbelievable. Hear that, 100-year-old nonprofit, obviously doing something right, a lot of community support to be 100 years old as a nonprofit, not one bit of planned giving on their agenda every year. They don't ask their constituents, they don't ask their donors for planned giving in regards to estate planning. They don't do anything like that. The universal response to my inquiries about planned giving was this: we desperately need a planned giving program in place, but, and then the reason for not having a planned giving program in place included things like, we don't have the expertise to do it ourselves, or we can't compete with the large universities and national charities. It's like I heard this, it's like a David and Goliath, so we can't compete with all that. So the list goes on and on and on. It's just an excuse. We don't have the money to hire a planned giving person to direct the planned giving. Just you name it, I heard it. But the bottom line was, all of these nonprofits, some of which were running $20 million operations. Now, you might think that's a very big nonprofit. No, it's not. In the grand scheme of things, on a national level here in the United States, a $20 million food bank, it's not a big nonprofit. That's relatively small when you consider the Gates Foundation, University of Southern California, Loma Linda Medical Center, University Children's Hospital, right near me here in Southern California. Those are big billion-dollar endowments. Those are the big nonprofits. The Rotary International, Salvation Army, those are the big ones. $20 million food bank, small, okay? Each time I contacted a local nonprofit, it was as if each of them had been reading off the same list of reasons why they didn't have a planned giving program in place. My questions now turned to why. How could a charity that's 100 years old or $20 million a year in annual revenue with a board of directors made up of bankers and influential business people from the community, how could this happen and they have no planned giving program in place. How is it that they are struggling to keep their heads above water when they lose a big donor, right? How is it that they still find it impossible to compete with Goliaths like USC or Salvation Army or the Rotary? To start with, I needed to know more about the planned giving pie, right? When you think about the entire planned giving in the United States, I wanted to know more about what did that look like. Was it big enough? Was the pie, the trough from which nonprofits feed from, the donations from America, right? Was it big enough for everybody? Was it big enough to take care of everybody? Thankfully, the University of Michigan has been compiling data on this in the Health and Retirement Study. It's called the Health and Retirement Study. They've been doing it since the 1990s, where they have tracked 26,000 people for almost 3 decades on their giving, okay? At first glance, I have to say, I could see how overwhelming the planned giving arena would be. I could see that, right? Absolutely, no doubt. I was discouraged a little by the data. However, as I studied further, as I got into the data a bit further, as a nerd that I am, something occurred to me. First, let me make sure that you consider some of the key facts that led me to my positive conclusion, okay? So, in 2019, charitable giving in the United States exceeded $427 billion. $427 billion in charitable giving in 2019. Now I'm going back to 2019, although 2020 was actually still a good year. I don't have the numbers for that because maybe the study was off a little bit last, in 2020. Something happened. I can't remember what was going on in 2020. So 2019 will be the numbers that I'll reference here. $427 billion in charitable giving. Now, 2020 numbers, 9 in 10 affluent U.S. households gave to charity. Listen to that. 9 in 10 in 2020 gave to charity. According to 2021 Bank of America study on philanthropy, charitable giving by affluent households, average giving to charities was up 48% in 2020, right? So the University of Michigan study didn't cover 2020 that I could find, so I went to the Bank of America study, 48% increase in charitable giving. Wow, that's awesome, right? That is absolutely incredible. Now, despite the tremendous amount given to nonprofits, approximately $34 billion, or 8% of the total, was given through planned giving. Think about that. Wait a minute. $427 billion, let's say, probably more than that for 2020 when we look at the numbers for sure. Only 8% of it was given through planned giving. What does that mean? Only 8% transferred as a result of living trusts and wills and advanced planned giving, life insurance, beneficiary designations, because planned giving could be as simple, remember, simple as naming your favorite charity in your will to receive $50,000 from your life insurance. Simple. Nothing complicated. I have a classic car collection. I read this one last year, a classic car collection, and a gentleman was so grateful to a local university that gave him his engineering background that made him a wealthy man. He donated his very expensive car collection through his will to the local university, right back to his alma mater, right? So planned giving can be very simple, can be complicated, but remember, that is an 8% number, only 8% that went through planned giving, okay? Now, on average, half of that amount, half of that $34 billion, okay, in planned giving went to big charities like the Kennedys and the Gates and the universities and the hospitals. Now, that means, so if half of that planned giving, just think about these numbers, $427 billion was given, in total. But the planned giving slice of the pie is 8%. It really should be bigger, but it's 8%. Half of that was given to the big nonprofits. Rotary and Salvation Army and universities and hospitals and the Gates Foundation and the such and such. That means roughly $17 billion is available for the rest of the nonprofits, the little guys and gals, to fight over. That means that there's about $17 billion for everybody else to fight over. $12 billion, $17 billion, $8 billion. These are enormous numbers. $17 billion is a lot of money that's available in the planned giving arena if a small nonprofit wanted to think a little bigger, right? So when you think about it, the reality is the rest, right, includes some huge charities, big charities, nonprofits, American Heart Association, the Pulmonary Fibrosis Foundation. These are big nonprofits. Now, this is important. 90%, it is estimated that 90% of donors who give $500, not a big number, 90% of donors who give $500 each year consistently to a charity. And by the way, in the donation world, $500 is considered to be a significant amount of money to receive as a small nonprofit. That's not small change in a small nonprofit. Little play on words there, okay? But 90% of the people who give those $500 or more donations have no plan to continue giving after they're dead. They have no plans in their will, no plans in their trust. They have no plans in their estate at all to keep giving. So, if you think about it, and you have all these nonprofits fighting for the scraps, basically. It's a lot of money, though, $17 billion, let's say, fighting for that $17 billion that's not given away to big universities and stuff. If you've got all of them fighting for it, and only 90% of the $500 or more donations, there are no plans for those donations to continue when their donors die, maybe now you can see why a local nonprofit, maybe your nonprofit, is constantly running from one barbecue or golf tournament to the next. They're always trying to replace those donations that are lost because they've never asked about planned giving. They've never set up a planned giving program. Now, to some of you, these statistics, they may look a little negative. Now, I gotta say, I think it's extremely positive. I think it just screams opportunity. First, the planned giving pie is huge. There's so much money in there, right? If only $34 billion was given via planned giving, that means there's $393 billion out there in potential planned gifts. Fully 92% of total charitable giving can be traced back to individuals who have not made or any kind of plans to keep going, right? So there are other studies that say it's 90% or 92% that have no plans, which means as a small nonprofit, couldn't you benefit from talking to your constituents, your donors, about maybe adding planned giving and naming your charity as part of their planned giving in their will or their trust on their life insurance? Couldn't that be a simple conversation to be had, right? What about the 9 out of 10 statistic, right? I mentioned earlier that whole 90%. I think that's the most positive fact of all. That group represents donors who love a charity enough to give $500 or more, and they love the charity, but they have no will or estate plan to continue the giving when they're gone. I don't think that's a negative. I think that is a tremendous opportunity for nonprofits, for small nonprofits to be able to step up and act like a big one. What do I mean by that? Act like a big one. It's best to tell this story. I mentioned a food bank earlier. I had a conversation with someone who runs a local food bank, and it's huge. $20+ million a year flow through this food bank. I mean, that's a lot of money, but still a small nonprofit. And I asked, how is your plan giving department set up? Oh, he said, we don't have a plan giving department. He really seemed sad about it. And I said, well, what do you mean you don't have a plan giving department? You're running a $20 million operation. Does your board of directors not want one? Oh no, we talk about it all the time, but it just ends up getting pushed down on our agenda because we've got a barbecue coming up, and then we have a golf tournament, and we have a gala event that we do every year, and we sell sponsorships for that, and and he just and we don't have the budget to pay for a plan giving coordinator. That was the answer. And I said, you mentioned earlier though that you really need one, and he said, yeah, would have been good last year. And I said, what do you mean good last year? And he said, well, we lost a big donor last year. That every year this local doctor would give the food bank a $100,000 check in addition to a monthly donation that he just consistently would give. He would give a $100,000 deposit on top of that every year as a donation. It was a big deal. And I said, well, what happened? He said, well, he died and gave, hear this, and gave $2 million to the Rotary. And I said, how does that happen? And he said, the Rotary asked. They have a plan giving department. The Rotary clearly asked, and he put the Rotary in his will and his estate plan. The food bank never talked to him about plan giving. And this doctor died, and no more giving happened after his death. The Rotary received $2 million in his planning because the Rotary, they're very bold. They act like a big nonprofit. They asked. And he said, sure, and gave $2 million at his death to the Rotary, leaving the food bank now chasing their tail to the next barbecue, the next golf tournament, trying to replace the 100,000 plus that was lost when the good doctor died. Okay? I think this is a huge opportunity. This time, these facts, these things, this is a huge opportunity for small nonprofits. I am energized about this. I thought more about it in my practice. How do I get started? Based on my research, I decided the best place to start was with charities themselves. So here's what I've decided to do, right? These local nonprofits that I've spoken to, what they said was, we really need a plan giving department, but we just don't have the money for it. One of those main focus points that I have going forward is to help local nonprofits establish a plan giving program. You don't need a plan giving department per se, but wouldn't it be awesome if you had a certified financial planning professional who could volunteer as your plan giving coordinator, working with other members of your board of directors to get out there and talk to your donors about plan giving? Wouldn't it be awesome if a certified financial planner who also happens to be a paralegal at a great law firm volunteered his time or her time to be part of a plan giving conversation with your donors? That's what I thought about. It hit me. And so what I have done now is I have started reaching out to these small nonprofits to say, hey, you don't need to hire a plan giving coordinator. Loma Linda University has 2. University of California here has 3 or 4 of them, and they manage $1 billion endowment. Small nonprofits don't have the budget for that. But guess what happens when people want to do plan giving? When people are asked, do you want to support your local Diabetes Foundation chapter here in your community? Yes, absolutely I do. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Donor, would you like to add or update your will or your trust so that we're in there as your favorite charity in the event of your death? Yes, of course. You never have a donor say, nah, I don't care enough about you. They say yes. So what happens? Now they need a law firm to update their estate plan, maybe draft a new living trust and a will. Wouldn't that be awesome if you had a member of your plan giving coordinator team who was also a paralegal at a law firm? What if they want to leave the charity as beneficiary of a life insurance policy? Wouldn't it be great if you had a certified financial planner on the team who could write the life insurance? You see, the plan giving team can be made up of members of the charity, an attorney, a CPA, a certified financial planning professional. Those members of the team, ultimately the professional part of the team, they're going to be paid in some fashion for doing the work the donor wants to get done anyway. Why not make sure they're part of the plan giving team instead of going out to try and hire a plan giving coordinator? That was my idea, and I continue to have that conversation. I struggle with it because small nonprofits, they just can't get out of their head. They stay small, while the big nonprofits, they unabashedly ask, Mr. and Mrs. Donor, Mr. and Mrs. Member, Mr. and Mrs. Alumni, would you please add us, the big nonprofit, as part of your plan giving? Oh, you don't have any plan giving? Guess what? We've got attorneys and financial planners who can come in and help you. The big nonprofits are never shy about asking, and the small nonprofits, who are really good at staying small because they're so focused on the next hot dog stand, golf tournament, fundraiser, dinner, gala, whatever, that they don't pay attention to where the big donations come from, which is endowment type donations that happen through good estate planning, right? That's what I want to do more of, especially during this holiday time. I get excited about it. I think about my auto shop teacher conversation. Man, losing a $20,000 a year donor, that could cripple his program as far as what he had in place. I am compassionate. I love it. I love to support local charities. But for me, I want to tell it like it is. If you run or work with a small nonprofit, and remember, small these days in the big picture, 20, 30, 40, $50 million nonprofits in the big scope of things are small nonprofits. If you don't have a plan giving program in place, if you would like to talk about plan giving, you might have noticed I'm kind of excited about it. Send me an email, Craig with a K, Kraig at craigstrom.com. Craig with a K at craigstrom.com. Send me an email. Let's talk more about it. I am always willing to see if I can help. Fired up about it. Take care. Talk to you soon.